Peace, family. Real quick, I've been reading in Acts the last few days, and it has been really eye-opening. Um, Seeing the early stages of the church, right? One thing I love about the Bible is that you can read it over and over and over again, and God finds ways to speak to you based on where you are, right? And to me, that is why it is the living word, because the book itself doesn't change, but God changes within that, right? So it's really cool to see. But anyway, I've been in Acts and really keying in, really being touched by Peter and all that he is doing. Um, and with that, it took me back to Luke, which I was reading not very long ago, but I'll read out of Luke 22, starting at verse 31. Simon, Simon, Satan has asked to sift all of you as wheat, but I have prayed for you, Simon, that your faith may not fail, and when you have turned back, strengthen your brothers. Now, this portion of scripture takes place during the Last Supper, and it occurs right before Jesus tells Peter that he's going to deny him. Um, this to me was impactful because Peter was Peter was the one. You know, often in scripture, Peter's there. Peter walks on the water. Peter is with Jesus in the garden. Peter is, the one who pulls the sword, and he's ready and does throw blows. So Peter was that dude for Jesus. So for Peter to learn that he would deny Jesus, something that he didn't think was possible, was a shock to him, right? And it's amazing how God works in that before he tells Peter that, hey bro, you're not gonna slide with me when it's time to slide, but pre to prophesy before prophesy the prophecy. Anyways, before he tells Peter that you're going to deny me, he prays that, your faith won't fail, that when you come back, you will strengthen your brothers. And that's exactly what Peter does. He denies Jesus, he gives up, but Jesus comes back to him, and then he becomes a spearhead for the early church. And for me, that was really it's really eye-opening and really encouraging, because for a while I had all but given up on my faith walk, right? I was just in a place where I just felt lost. A lot of things weren't going where I felt it should, or it was just a lot going on, and again, for a while I just my faith walk just wasn't there. But God didn't give up on me. And quite frankly, he did the opposite. He kept leading, and like his spirit within me kept guiding, so that I was listening just enough so that I could still do what I was supposed to do, through him. And now here I am, continuing to step out on that faith, in that obedience to God and to his will for my life, right? So my message today is don't quit. There will be a lot of times in life where things may not pan out how you wanted to or how you expected to. And there will be times where you're forced to wrestle with like who you really are and who God is calling you to be. And it's important in those times to surround yourself with people that can pour into you, that that are willing to walk with you in those hard times, because without that, we're never able to really reach our potential. We have to get to a point where we can peel back those layers and really be forced to look at ourselves. And in those moments, that's when we can really begin to blossom. Bringing that back to scripture, first thing that Jesus did was tell Peter again that I'm praying for you. Satan is busy, he's working, but I hope that you don't quit. I hope that your faith does not fail, so that when you come back around, that you will be a pillar. You will be able to strengthen your brothers. And that's exactly what happened. Peter, because he was so locked in with Jesus, I think that for him to realize that, wow, I have this sense of denial or the betrayal in me, he really had to look at himself. But in doing that, in going through that phase, or in the process of him denying Jesus, coming out on the other side of that, man's faith was so strong that we are where we are now. Without him, our church wouldn't be, our knowledge of Jesus wouldn't be, our understanding and therefore our relationship with Jesus wouldn't be what it is, how it is. Peter was very, very instrumental in the church taking off how it did. Without Peter and John really going hard in Jerusalem, the word, the church, the message wouldn't have made it out of Jerusalem in the way that it did to the corners of the world. So really lean into your perceived shortcomings and know that God can use those too. That God does use those too, because his word tells us that his strength is made complete in our weakness. When we feel like we're at our lowest, that's when he can build up, right? It's like a hybrid car. Just when you think you are all out of battery, the gasoline engine kicks in. And with hybrid engines, you get a little bit of all electric range, but you get a lot further on the gas. Let Jesus be your gas today. Be blessed.